Ladies and gentlemen, the only reason why this country put the 13th Amendment in place was to ensure that no one in this country would go to jail more than the black man and woman, but mainly the black man. That was the entire purpose of having that in place from the beginning. The system is heavily rigged, and you can see these disparities, and they know the disparities exist because they're constantly writing about it. So they know it's there, but don't care to make changes to the system. And that's another reason why it's rigged. More Black people that are innocent end up in jail every single year. And this is why we constantly see these exonerations happen. Exonerations happen every single day in America. And it happens largely because once they jail us, they try to keep even innocent people in the system as long as possible. You know how much prison labor they got out of you after a 40-year period and you were innocent? A lot. And now you have a lot of these states that don't even want to half pay for something that they caused. There's a reason why the Black community is over policed more than any other community. This is to ensure that you are not only over policed, you are over prosecuted, and you are over the amount of people that go to jail. So you're going to always go to jail in high numbers because they are constantly coming around you for the sole purpose of putting you in there in the first place. That's the only reason why we're so oversaturated with police officers in the Black community. So what they do, and this is another part of the rigging, ladies and gentlemen, if they see someone Black and they go before the judge, the prosecutor always going to recommend the maximum sentence for Black people. So a long stay is a given. And the judge really has discretion on whether to give that long sentence or not. But in more cases, they often go along with the prosecution and give you these astronomical sentences based on race. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you offend again and they seen you have a long stay on your record in prison, they're going to give you another long stay based on what they saw in your history. And that's how they've been doing it forever in this country. So this came out on the ABA Journal, January 10th, 2020. New study finds Black people are staying longer in state prisons even as they face fewer arrests. All rigged. Rigged. Racial disparity between Black and white people sent to state prison is declining, and it has been for some time. But criminal justice researchers say people of all races still aren't treated equally. We know that. That is a no-brainer. But, of course, certain people need researchers, or otherwise they don't believe nothing. Really dumb. But, what is there to expect with people with high IQs? While arrest and prison admission rates are dropping for Black people, in 2016, Black people went to state prison at 5 times the rate of white people, down from 8 times in 2000. And that's because of the over policing that's done, ladies and gentlemen. It's not really for any other reason. They are spending longer in prison than their white peers. That's because your entire system is based on skin color. The whole criminal justice system is rigged up that way. This trend noted in a report published by the nonpartisan think tank, the Council on Criminal Justice, potentially offset broader efforts to make the system more equitable. The researchers say, when it comes to drug and property crimes, Black people are serving increasingly more time. growing at a rate of 1% or more on average every year, as the time served in prison by white offenders dropped. For violent crimes, although both groups served longer, from 2000 to 2016, the prison time for Black people grew at a rate almost twice as fast, according to the report. That can only happen if your system is rigged. The question is why. Experts note that actors at several stages of the criminal justice system can influence how long someone ends up spending in prison. For example, prosecutors decide what charges to bring and what sentences to recommend. Judges have the discretion to hand down sentences. Correction officers can discipline people in prison, which then becomes an important factor when parole boards consider if they will release someone. Criminal history also plays an important role, said William Sable, a professor at the Georgia State University who authored the report. During the decades of rising incarceration in the United States, a lot of people, especially Black men, were often considered at sentencing and may contribute to today's disparity in time spent in prison. Prosecutors rely heavily on someone's prior criminal history. Then they are deciding what to change and what sentence to recommend, said Daniel Nagin, a criminology professor at Carnegie Mellon University Hines College of Information Systems and Public Policy. In Pennsylvania, for example, prosecutors determine what sentences to recommend by considering the severity of the crime and the defendant's past arrest history. A longer criminal history can lead to a longer sentence. Rigged, 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 rigged. Many states, Nagin said, adopted similar guidelines in the 1980s. The initial intent was to make prosecutors' decision-making process more transparent and less prone to personal bias, which has never stopped happening. The unintended consequences, however, was that communities that are heavily policed, the Black community, and prosecuted, the Black community, would now often be subjected to longer prison terms. All right. So the areas that are heavily policed and prosecuted are the ones that get the longer prison terms. Sounds rigged up to me. Okay. Another potential explanation may come from the adoption of risk assessment tools, school zone enhancement, or gang sentencing enhancement initiatives that end up disproportionately affecting people of color and how long they stay in prison, said Lee Courtney, a policy associate at the Urban Institute. Using school zone enhancement as an example, Courtney said if drugs are sold near a school, the penalty can be much higher. The policy may sound logical, but it's much more likely to affect people who live in urban areas with a dense population. Exactly. 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 The increase in prison term among Black people may also be associated with the movement away from aggressive prosecution of low level crimes, said Lucy Lang, executive director at the Institute for Innovation in Prosecution at John Jay College of Criminal Justice. In order to avoid appearing soft on crime, prosecutors who decline to prosecute minor offenses and quality of life cases may double down on violent and serious drug crimes, Lang said, prosecuting them more aggressively, which can lead to longer sentences. But the problem is, you are prosecuting Black people aggressively for low-level drug crimes. I mean, the proof is who you got behind bars. Okay, we need to rethink our responses to serious and violent crimes because lengthy prison sentences not only don't seem to be working, Lang said, but they are part of what is perpetuating the unconscionable racial disparities in the system, despite efforts to eliminate disparities on the front end. No, you can't eliminate it because the people that are in charge want it this way. At this point, it can't be no other explanation. They want this system exactly like this. This is why they are fighting those of us that are speaking against the system. They're fighting us hard because they don't want this shit to change. They know what's wrong. Deep down inside, they know what's wrong. But the way they see it, they get to live a lot better. They get to have more. They get to do more. And they can actually commit crimes, same crimes that Black people are committing, and not ever go to jail. We've seen that too. So, ladies and gentlemen, they are going to fight hard on every level to keep this garbage in place. So, this whole thing is rigged. Never forget this. They rigged up this system from the time the 13th Amendment was written all the way up until now. The system has been heavily rigged. But please tell me what you think, ladies and gentlemen. Please leave your comment and subscribe. Don't forget to hit on the notification bell, and I'll see you on the next video. Peace, family.